Hey guys, this was a requested video. We'll do a Tarantula Spotlight. This is the Brachypelma albopilosum. Now there's a few things that we want to probably clear up. This is information that was given to us from Stuart Longhorn, who has been in Central America many times studying them and locations, and I think there's a few misconceptions on them and I think he answered a few questions from the things that I understand from him. But anyway, I have three, and there are locations that they're from Honduras, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica. So they go down as far as Costa Rica, right about the northern border of Costa Rica, up through Honduras and Nicaragua. And over, I think in 2014 or 2015, there was a big import of the Brachypelma albopilosum from Nicaragua. So what they did is they tagged those by saying, we're labeling them as Brachypelma albopilosum NIC 2015. And that was to make sure that those stayed separate from what we have in the hobby. Because what we probably have in the hobby is a mixture of whatever it may be, whether it's, bred with Brachypelma vagans or whatever else that there possibly could be, Sabulosa maybe. I'm not really quite sure what crossbreeding has been done, or interspecies or intergenous breeding, crossbreeding has been done. So what they wanted to do is keep the Nicaraguan imports pure. So the wild caught ones from Nicaragua are marked and labeled, and they're saying, well, you know what, they're fuzzier, they're darker, they're fluffier, they're cuter, blah blah blah. So Stuart put pictures online for us yesterday, and of specimens that he took pictures of that were relatively close together that have completely different colorations to them. Carapaces are different. You have one that's really dark black with a little bit of what we would say goldish tint to the hair. As you can see, here's one of our this is Declan. Avery is over here, and this is Lincoln. With dark carapace, and then there's some with goldish carapace, and there's some with what I call broken carapace. That's kind of dark with the gold streams through it. And if you could see how, we'll take the cover off of this guy, you could see how his carapace is dark, but he's got that gold in there too. If we get it off of, yeah, that's even worse. So we're going to feed these guys, and there was a few specific questions that were asked, and that was kind of personal experience with them, how they are, temperament, kind of how to house them, and I found that over the course of, I've had Brachypelma albopilosum since I really got back into this about 3.5 years ago, and this is the one that we had. Lincoln's the one that we got at a 1/2 inch, and you could see it three years old. Well, me having it for 3 years, we're about a 3.5 inch, maybe 4 inch spider there. She's been nothing but calm, docile, easy to deal with, quiet, slow, and that's for the most case. Most of them are that way. They are very docile. They are very easygoing. They are pretty good eaters for Brachypelmas. They grow at a medium rate. I don't heat them any more than they need to. Although they come from Central America, they are on the Atlantic coast side of those countries, so it's not spread all the way to the Pacific coast side. They're basically on the Atlantic coast side, so I'm not sure if there's a huge temperature difference between there or not, because I think you have the mountain range that the trade winds would come over from the Pacific side to go over. It may be cooler on the side that these guys are on. But they will do different things, and different albopilosums act different ways. So this girl here, and we're going to feed all three of these ones. Let me pause you and get you set up on a tripod. Here we are. This is Lincoln. This is a unconfirmed suspected female. Let's put it that way. I'm pretty sure she's female. But again, with Brachypelma species, you have to be careful when you sex them in a molt, because the male accessory organs can fool you into believing that that's spermathecae. Now you could see how fuzzy and curly she is. This is what we call in the trade the hobby form Brachypelma albopilosum. It doesn't seem to be the true form. It doesn't look like the Nicaraguan form you'll see here in a second. I don't see a ton of differences other than, you know, some lighter appearance. The hair seemed to be a tad bit lighter or goldish. The carapace seems to be a bit different. But if you look at Stuart's pictures, and if you remember a tarantula gossip, you should be able to find it there. I don't know if I can link that here or not. There's a post there about Brachypelma albopilosums, and he gives some pictures of different spiders he found relatively close to each other that looked completely different. So since we have her out and about, we're going to go ahead and try feeding her. Again, they're very, very good eaters for the most part. If the roach will go in there. They can be a bit skittish at times, although yeah, you can see right there she kind of freaked out a little bit. I have not handled any of the Brachypelma albopilosums at all, like I did today with the Grammostola pulchra. Once the roach comes back out, I'm sure she'll tag it. Now, I've always said, and I profess this 100 times, a happy albopilosum is an albopilosum that digs a deep burrow and lives underground. Well, I said that. I put her in this, and you can see this is the European style enclosures. I'll give you a little bit more light. Again, these are 10 inches tall by 8 inches wide. And I pre-made her a burrow underneath that thing, and she dug absolutely nothing out of it. Not a thing. She just kind of hangs out there. I don't know why she hasn't dug. This is very deep, solid, structured mixture of potting soil, cocoa fiber, a little bit of vermiculite, and a tad bit of reptisoil with some crushed up leaf litter inside there. She hasn't dug. She just, I don't know why. She dug a little bit in her old enclosure. She was in the mini football helmet enclosure, so it wasn't very deep. So she dug down to the bottom where she could, and she lived there. That's my recommendation, is to give them ample dirt to dig in. If you don't, they won't dig, of course. They can't dig if you don't give them enough substrate, but they should. They should want to. That's not necessarily saying that they're going to. So, of course, the common name of these is the Brachypelma, or the scientific name or binomial name is Brachypelma albopilosum. The curly hair tarantula. And again, we label the NIC to the imports of the Nicaraguan imports from 2015. Now, I do think that there are still some that are filtering in as imports from Nicaragua, so I'm sure that there are more. What we don't want to do is we don't want to breed the boy that I have off to the left here, Declan, with my female here, because she is not what we would consider a pure albopilosum or a Nicaraguan import. So we don't want to breed the two of them, because all I'm doing is I'm just going to muddy these two together and then just have more muddied up albopilosums. We want to try and keep the Nicaraguans together, and if you're going to breed this girl, we're going to breed her with a male that would be what we would consider, again, the hobby form. Let's see if that roach will come up to her, if she'll take it. She's a really, really good eater. She hasn't molted in a while, but I don't really suspect that she's in pre-molt. She doesn't look it at all. I can't get in there to get that stupid roach. So that's her. We'll move on to the other two, and both of these two are Nicaraguan form. So let me get those two out. We'll try feeding them. We'll come back to her if she does get a hold of that roach. As you can see, this is Avery. Now, Avery is in an enclosure that's probably 4 inches tall. This thing's about 1 1/4 inch and a half. She's got about 2 inches, roughly 2.5, maybe almost 3 inches of substrate in certain spots. She's got a cork bark tube that goes down, and that's where she is. She's got an entrance over here and a muddied entrance over here that she kind of filled in. Again, I'm saying she. I'm not quite sure what this one is. This one mangled the molt the last time it molted, so we're not 100% positive. This one likes to dig. This one likes to be underground. So I always try to offer at least the albopilosums. There's some other species that dig that I don't always do that with, but with the albopilosums, I generally try to give them enough substrate or something that they can burrow down into, as you'll see with, oh, of course the roach is going to go down. Oh, good night. That'd be the end of that roach. You'll see with Declan coming up next what we did with this enclosure, and there was a reason why we did what we did with Declan's enclosure. So let's move over to him, and hopefully he'll get off of where he's at so that I can feed him and he doesn't want to come out. Now, Declan here, he's a completely different animal. He's never acted normal as far as what I would consider albopilosums to be. Doesn't dig, is always out. Last enclosure was much deeper, didn't dig a bit. This one, I built a nice mound in the back, and that cork bark that you barely see was angled down inside for Declan to go hide in. Well, he just kind of dug dirt from the corners, as you could see back there, and filled that in. So he didn't really want to go underground. Now, I'm not saying that if he wasn't in a deeper enclosure that he might not dig, but he didn't dig in the last one. He's not using the buried hide in this one. So we're just letting him be. And he is a anti-water tarantula. He will flip his water dish almost every time you fill it up. So I continually fill it, and then he continually just flips it. I don't worry about humidity with these guys. You can see he's a really good eater. I don't worry about humidity with these guys. I keep with this dirt that I mix, it tends to stay a little softer, which it's really easy. If you wanted to add humidity to this mixture, you could just drop some water in there down to the bottom and it would filter its way back up. But I've never, ever really worried about humidity with Brachypelma albopilosums. I don't necessarily keep it completely dry, but you could see he doesn't like the water. He flips the water dish. So this guy, I don't really do much to. We'll flip it back over, we'll fill it back up, and then tomorrow he'll flip it back over. It's a game between us. I'm sure that you guys all have your tarantulas that do the same thing. So again, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras. The three places that this species of Brachypelma have been found. As you could see here, it's kind of hard to tell. His carapace this way looks sheen. He's got a gold sheen on it. Now he's gonna lie to me here, or make me a liar. He's gonna dig down there and eat inside his little den. He's got it all blocked off, so he's actually gonna have to move dirt, and he's gonna do it. But definitely a recommended tarantula. This is, to me, if you aren't old world only, if you collect or like to keep new world species, you have to have a Brachypelma albopilosum. And to me, I have not seen any difference between behavior with the Nicaraguan imports versus our quote-unquote hobby form albopilosums at all. No difference whatsoever. Eating habits are the same. The docility of them is the same. Staying on camera apparently isn't the same. But again, an easy beginner species, probably top 5, top 7. If you're just getting into spiders, anybody that's thinking about getting them, stop thinking about it and just do it, because you're not going to be disappointed. Again, you may have a spider that digs and you don't see it a lot for a while. So be prepared for that. As you can see, Avery waited for the roach to come into its burrow entrance, grabbed it, and then is just mowing down there. That's generally what that spider does. Avery's out a lot when you don't bother her. If you just look at her up on the shelf, you'll see her out in the enclosure walking around. But once you touch her enclosure, she scoots right back down underneath. Where Lincoln doesn't. Lincoln is a lot more bold. Not defensive at all. I've never seen a threat posture out of them at all. I would have absolutely no qualms if this guy started to crawl out to put him in my hand. Other spiders, I can't say that, you know. Excuse me. So I have to remember I need to start bringing water in with me when I do these videos. I start talking, I get dry, because I don't ever talk much. But all joking aside, yeah, definitely get one. So if there's any other questions or specifics about them that you want to know, you know, like absolutely a specific question that or topic that I didn't cover in this video, temperatures, They're very, I don't heat my tarantulas at all. They get whatever we get in here. And in my room, even in the wintertime, when I have my door closed, they can get up to 78, 80 degrees in here. If I don't close my door, we get a little bit of draft. At night, it cools down probably to about 65. In the summertime, you know, it can be 95 degrees in here during the day when I'm not home. When I'm at work, it can tend to get kind of warm in here. So when I do come home, I generally would turn on a fan to circulate air through here. It's not something that this species itself needs. It's just something that I do to keep air circulation going. Decorations, anything inside that you want to put in, that's entirely up to you. But this is a spider really doesn't need that stuff. And most often than not, the plants and stuff, they're either going to bury them or they're going to dig them up and move on. So, you know, if it's for aesthetics, that's fine, but it's not anything necessary for them. I wouldn't recommend using live plants with these guys, basically because they will dig them up. They probably won't web them, but they will dig them up. And you can't see really the webbing that he's got down here, but where he's standing right now, there's webbing there. And he's got webbing all through here in this area back where my hand's shadowed up. And the reason you don't see it is because he's got the dirt over top of it. So it's almost like they lay a layer of silk down and then they pull dirt over top of it to hide it. You know, it's almost like a trip net or something of that nature. But yeah, get one. You won't be discouraged at all. And again, if you have any other questions, please feel free to comment down below or send me a private message on Facebook or through my Eerie Arachnid site. That's another good way to get a hold of me, Eerie Arachnids on Facebook. Those messages get popped right onto my phone as soon as they come through. So, you know, feel free to use that if you want to. If you don't want to use the Messenger app on Facebook. So, thanks for watching. I hope that this video was what you were looking for. And we'll see you all soon.